Welcome to Indian Laboratories Forum. Now we are learning about Clause 7.7 of ISO, IEC 17025, 2017. General requirements for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories. Hope you have learned up to Clause 7.6. If not, please refer our previous videos. Clause 7.7, Ensuring the validity of results. The laboratory shall have a procedure for monitoring the validity of results. This particular clause is demanding the procedure for monitoring the validity of results. It is mandatory for all the labs to have the procedure. The resulting data shall be recorded in such a way that trends are detectable and, where practicable, statistical techniques shall be applied to review the results. Where quantitative data should be recorded in such a way to identify or detect the trends, where practicable, lab can apply statistical technique for review of results. Most of the analytical laboratories follow statistical quality control charts to detect trends. This monitoring shall be planned and reviewed and shall include, where appropriate, but not be limited to. Laboratory should have plans for PT, ILC, and IQC and review the results of monitoring activities periodically. Use of reference materials or quality control materials, such as reference material or quality control material with a certified reference value. Use of alternative instrumentation that has been calibrated to provide traceable results. If a laboratory has two or more similar equipment, it can use calibrated alternative instruments for comparison of results. Functional checks of measuring and testing equipment, example, daily verification of balances, daily verification of pH meter, etc. Use of check or working standards with control charts, where applicable. Use of working standards and spiking of working solution into samples and checking the recovery, and use of a statistical quality control chart for detecting trends. Intermediate checks on measuring equipment. Replicate tests or calibrations using the same or different methods. Retesting or recalibration of retained items. Reanalysis or recalibration of retained samples. This particular point is applicable for samples or devices stable upon retention. Correlation of results for different characteristics of an item. As per this requirement, the laboratory has to establish a connection between various parameters of the same sample. For example, the hardness of drinking water increases when the concentration of calcium ions and magnesium ions increases in the water. Review of reported results. Review of raw data, instrumental data, reports, etc., before releasing it to customers. Intralaboratory comparisons, comparison of the results of the parameters of the same sample, between two or more laboratories. Testing of blind samples. It means the analysis of a sample for a specific parameter without previous analysis result details. The laboratory shall monitor its performance by comparison with results of other laboratories, where available and appropriate. This monitoring shall be planned and reviewed and shall include, but not be limited to, either or both of the following. The laboratory should have plans for participation in PT, ILC, and IQCs, and the outcome of performance should be reviewed periodically. Participation in proficiency testing. To prove the competency of the laboratory. Participation in proficiency testing from ISO 17043 accredited proficiency testing providers for the scope of laboratory testing. Participation in interlaboratory comparisons, other than proficiency testing. Where the laboratory is not able to find the proficiency testing for specific tests, or calibration, the laboratory can initiate or participate in the interlaboratory comparisons. Data from monitoring activities shall be analyzed, used to control and, if applicable, improve the laboratory's activities. Data from monitoring activities such as proficiency testing, interlaboratory comparison, and internal quality control should be analyzed and initiate the appropriate actions to improve the laboratory activities. If the results of the analysis of data from monitoring activities are found to be outside of predefined criteria, appropriate action shall be taken to prevent incorrect results from being reported. If the performance in PT, ILC, and IQC are found to be an outlier, the laboratory has to perform the investigation to identify the reason for the outlier and take the proper corrective actions to prevent the reporting of incorrect results. Takeaway from Clause 7.7. The laboratory should plan and participate in the following quality control activities. Proficiency testing. Interlaboratory comparison. Internal quality control practices such as reference materials, alternative instrumentation, functional check, working standards with control charts, retesting, or recalibration of retained items, correlation of results, review of reported results, intralaboratory comparisons, and testing of blind sample. Examples of nonconformances as per Clause 7.7. The laboratory has two similar instruments, but does not use the alternative instruments for testing the ABC parameter in the XYZ product. Laboratory is not performing daily functional check for balance and pH meter. Laboratory is not performing the intermediate check for equipment XYZ. The laboratory has not performed the analysis of replicate testing and retesting of retained items. Laboratory is not performing the blind sample analysis. Laboratory has not participated in proficiency testing or interlaboratory comparison for the parameter X in product A. PT sample A, test parameter X, performance Z-score, found to be outliers. Lab has not initiated investigation and not taken any appropriate action for the outliers. Laboratory is not having plans for participation in proficiency testing or interlaboratory comparison. Hope you enjoyed learning about the requirement of Clause 7.7 of ISO, IEC 17025, 2017 and examples of nonconformances as per Clause 7.7. Please like, subscribe and click on bell icon for regular updates. Thank you. Happy learning!